Welcome to Straight Talk, a place where we dot the I's and cross the T's. With our recurring guest, Professor Redpill, a man who knows his business in the treacherous world of international politics, and your host, the Liquid Monkey, Professor Redpill. Welcome and thank you for being in the show.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. Hey guys, welcome to the show. So we're going to be going over some interesting topics today. Let me go ahead and get the everything set up here for you. But continue, Liquid Monkey.
By all means. Now, apparently, it seems that there's two main topics. The first one, jobs and economy, and online censorship. Because the first thing is, how are the numbers just dropped in? And apparently, the United States and therefore the Western world is in a world of hurt. And of course, the other one is that apparently there's been a bill presented in Congress that it eventually wants to equalize anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. This, of course, for the people who the conspiracy theorists will equate that people will not be able to criticize Israel's policies because they will be equated with anti-Semitism against anti-Jewish. Of course, this bringing the much of the hatred, much of the horrors that was lived in the previous century. But let's begin with the most pressing topics. Apparently, the jobs and the economy. There's going to be an upcoming recession. Apparently, it seems that Professor Redpill, you talked about this extensively in previous podcasts. It seems that the worst fears are coming true. Are we seeing the sum of all fears coming into fruition?
Yeah, you hearing me clear enough, brother?
Yes, I do.
All right, good. Basically, the job reports they're stating that. Hold on, I'll pull that up in a minute. Continue what you're saying. Sorry.
Yes. Apparently, this seems that eventually not in the corporate sector, but in the rank and file, in the everyday economy, it seems that things are slowing down. This means that people are going to be able to get less jobs opening, less businesses are going to open. We're talking about the mom and pops. We're talking about the small little little shops in towns in the myriad small towns all across the United States that are either going to close or they're going to have a much harder time sustaining themselves because apparently it seems that taxation is going to be an all-time high. There's not going to be a tax relief into these people. I mean, you prepare yourself, and dear Americans who are listening to us, prepare yourself for a long, hard winter. This means that it's going to be, and we're talking about a winter, to a long, hard winter. We're talking about a couple of years that things are not going to come out the way you want it. Things about that. Expect yourself to be poorer than the previous day, and this is not because something you've done. It's because that's the way it is. You can blame your overlords, our overlords, if you wish, because the same is going to happen here in Argentina. The thing is that Javier Milei, who is going to assume office the day after tomorrow, has already promised that the thing is we need to clean house, and in order to clean house, there's going to be 2 years of making ends meet any way you can. So it's going to be two hard years for us, and also 2 hard years for you. But the thing is that you as Americans are much better prepared to fare on this, because there's something that I would like to talk about is the American spirit. United States as a superpower is never going to die. It may die as an empire, but the spirit of entrepreneurship, the spirit of the guy who is willing to see the business, willing to make do, is never going to end, because that's what eventually made the United States be what it is, and those pockets are still very much alive all around the United States. So So, but the thing is, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared for things being difficult. You need to be prepared for inflation. Although not as rampant as Argentina, you're going to see yourself in a you're going to see yourself having difficult times. You're going to have to see yourself choosing between maybe a premium service on cable or streaming service, or having to pay for the cell phone. But all in all, for all the people listening to us, you will be fine. Remember what we said, that we need what you need is three things. You need a trade, you need a profession, and you need an art. A trade is going to keep you afloat. You may not be rich, but you'll be able to eat every day. You're going to see yourself in a positive light. You'll be proud of yourself, and of course, you'll have discipline. A trade, just anything that can be done with your hands and has a rapid solution, which is, for instance, tailor suits, um, uh, masonry, carpentry, electricity, those things. You need to get them ASAP. It's a 6-month course, and you'll be able to get them. Then a profession is always, of course, being in. Although we disprove the idea of going corporate, a job is a job. uh, Always be able to keep your head leveled. I'm not saying your head down. Keep your head leveled, which means that understand that job in corporate is eating your soul away. So while you still work the 9 to 5 corporate job, make sure you have another venue. And of course, an art. So for two things, do not go crazy. Art is the production of art, and the capacity of the production of art will keep you sane. And remember what Aaron Clarice said some time ago. Uh, Mental health is going to be the currency of the future, and we strive in Josh calls it the Sigma male. I call it the Stoic male. To be able to be sane and to be able to see things the way they are with a cool, level head. So yes, Josh, it seems that you have some numbers for us.
Yeah, hold on, let me pop it up real quick. Yeah, so
Don't
we're
worry.
talking about we're talking about jobs in the economy. I mean, this is a topic that we've been ongoing, that we've been talking about. I talk on Twitter. I post a lot of information on the subject in the Telegram channel, as well as on here on the podcast. But I
Ever
pulled this up
important.
to
Ever
exactly.
important.
I pulled this up today. Hold on one second. Let me
Yes.
move that. And if you can see, in December 2000, so this month's jobs report said that the hiring has slowed, unemployment rate fell, and the average hourly earnings increased, and the labor participation rate increased as well. And there were some job losses, and those job losses were notably in technology, interest rate sensitive sectors, obviously housing and credit and things of that nature. Um, and for industries such as information, finance, and professional and business services. Now, I said that this would happen, when the interest rates, obviously kept increasing. You would first start seeing layoffs in the banking sector, in finance, and this is pretty obvious, with an interest rate increase. And the reason why is because people can't borrow money. I mean, we're at a point now where basically, excuse me, uh, sorry, we're at a point now basically where the economy is going to go into what we call stagflation, where we have high interest rates, high inflation, and basically what was the other factor? The prices of goods
High,
will continue to go up,
high inflation.
and
High inflation and low growth.
and there's nobody else in like I said in our group as well as on the podcast than you, Liquid Monkey, with Argentina. I mean, you can explain to us exactly what stagflation is like. You can tell us from a personal standpoint if you'd
We've
like to
been
share
on
that with us
12.
today.
Yes, we've been in 12 years of stagflation, which means that, of course, we know everybody knows that we have 140% of inflation, which, of course, from hopefully on from the day after tomorrow is going to stop to grind to a halt. And the stack and the low growth means that because people don't have any money, because the money it melts in your hands, people are unwilling and unable to invest. So eventually it happens. All the industries are very basic because you're not allowed to reinvest and to grow, which means that all the jobs that are very either basic they're very basic in its execution, which means that you can have some, for example, in construction, you can have some architects and you can have some foremen, but the great majority are going to be the rank and file people who are going to carry the sandbags, but not having specialized workers well paid, because there is not enough money to go around. You may have very few, and of course it's like the concept of the short blanket, which is either you have very few skilled workers doing very little work in a construction site, for instance, or you have plenty unskilled workers doing shoddy work. So that's it, and that's no two ways about it. Welcome, Punch Gusano. Of course, a young man who knows who is traveling the treacherous world of the American college campus. Punch Gusano, welcome and thank you.
Hey, how we doing, everybody?
We were just talking about the concept of stagflation and how difficult it will be for the average American to get a job in the future markets. And of course, in stagflation, something that happens is that in order for people to get by, they will resort to any means necessary, either healthy or rotten. In the healthy ways, a lot of black markets are going to appear, markets that are not regulated by the economy, and they're going to be very cash based. And of course, this is going to bring also illegal and of course clandestine markets, such as drug and weapons, and of course the increase of crime, because people need to put food on the table in any means necessary. So will United States become less secure? Yes. There's going to be more crime, more violent crime? Yes. There's going to be an increase in drug consumption and drug trade? Yes. Is there another way about it? No. So get ready for a very bleaker, I don't know if very bleaker, because I'm talking from an extreme point of view. We've been in 12 years in this situation, and we've been at 140%. You're just starting this, and it's going to be only 7 or 12 or 15% at the most. So if I was to illustrate a picture, I'd say get ready to be rejected from work. From work. Get used to having to walk to many shops in order to get the best deal. Get ready to see your money having less value, and see other people trying to blame shopkeepers for rising prices when they're actually trying to survive. Remember this, it's never about prices going up. It is your money worth less in your pocket.
This is true.
That is perfect. Josh, go ahead, please.
No, I'm just saying, generally, inflation's literally the money is burning a hole in your pocket. So this kind of translates to people spending the money before it's worthless, and this eventually translates into like a Weimar Republic style collapse economically, a de-dollarization, if you will. I mean, the situation is we go back to Weimar Republic, when people would go into with a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. They would go outside, and the cash would be on the ground, and the wheelbarrow was stolen, because the wheelbarrow that was carrying the cash was worth more than the actual cash itself.
There is a very interesting book for other people listening to us. It's called When Money Dies. It's the title is When Money Dies. I will write it in the comments so you can have it. and it's just about the chronicles of regular people telling what was life in hyperinflation. For example, just like Josh mentioned, that the people stealing wheelbarrows and leaving the money, other people putting, how do you call it? Help me out with the Spanish word. Empapelar. When you put paper, wallpaper in the wall. How do you call that? The act.
You talking about are they using the cash as wallpaper?
Yes,
because I've seen that before too.
Notes.
It would just be called putting up wallpaper. There's no word like wallpapering. That's not like a thing.
But you get the idea. I mean, people
putting up wallpaper.
Yes, imagine in Germany. Besides, the thing is this one: when we're talking about hyperinflation, we're talking about what happened in the Weimar Republic was also because it was such a humiliation for the German people. The same is going to happen to the United States. The same is happening to Argentina. That it's, imagine people using paper notes to wallpaper their rooms because they couldn't have anything else, or people using money, paper notes. I'm not saying money, paper notes on the streets. In Venezuela is very common. In Venezuela is a totally dollarized economy because the bolivar means nothing. The same happens in Argentina. Now, United States, being a country that has the world currencies, I don't know how it's going to fare. Maybe they will use bitcoins. I do not know.
Because you can't pay taxes with bitcoins.
Yeah, you can. It's difficult to track it too because it's the whole point of the concept of crypto is to decentralized currency.
You can't buy groceries with it, and you can't pay taxes with it, which are the two things you need to live in the United States.
Question to you all. I mean, this is a question that I'm going to ask you both. This is from the ignorance. If Bitcoin is used for black markets, why couldn't it be used to buy groceries? I mean, I understand the concept of not paying taxes, but why not buying groceries and buying necessities with Bitcoin?
The problem with crypto is, unlike other currencies, it's completely based. Its buying power is completely based on the collective belief in it. Even if nobody in the United States believed in the dollar, they're still going to buy stuff with the dollar. So they're still going to use it. Bitcoin will literally shoot up if Elon Musk makes any crypto. If Elon Musk makes a tweet positive about it. If Elon Musk tweeted right now that he's selling all his Bitcoin and Bitcoin is dead, every Bitcoin holder would lose thousands of dollars overnight. No, not even overnight, in like 30 minutes. That's the problem with cryptocurrency. You can't, it's not tangible enough to buy day-to-day things. It's like funny to pawn it off to some dummy and leave him holding the bag. And look, I'm actually not against crypto. I've mined Ethereum and Monero, and I have a wallet, but I would never invest all of my money in it. Look at Boogie2988. A very famous YouTuber. He recently, about a year ago, invested. He said his life savings. We found out later that was about $650,000 into a crypto, and it died overnight. So it's not something you just want to adopt as your main system. There are ledgers that will tell you what wallet move the money in and out, but like Josh said, a lot of it is kind of untraceable. So no serious government or no serious financial holder will ever move towards a decentralized crypto system. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I would. The only, as far as like what I've researched, what I understand, there are several states in the United States right now that use gold as a currency to pay taxes, and Utah is one of the first states to do this. And the thing is that the currency is the U.S. minted coins. So it's anything that's minted in the U.S. That's actually official currency. You can use that to purchase, to pay taxes and to purchase items. So if anything, there would be a return to the actual, to like
trade barter.
Basically, trade and barter would be part of it. But they would go to a gold currency if they had to. That would be the go-to. There's a lot of currency circulating, but the thing is that currency would skyrocket in value overnight. I mean, literally gold and silver would go to like $10,000 a coin or whatever. I mean,
And
I
gold
mean,
is
your buying
real.
power.
Crypto is not
Yeah,
real.
Yeah, exactly.
Here in Argentina, the thing is that crypto has been used as a secondary, although dollar is the main currency, crypto is
Mhm.
being used as a secondary coin, experimental and marginal, yes, but nevertheless, it's been used. I mean, people can buy clothes. People, I mean, you can go to a restaurant and they would accept crypto. I mean, they say Bitcoin and Ethereum are both currencies that are accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be remiss to disregard the bitcoins or cryptocurrencies so immediately. I would believe, according to my own experience, that people would use at least marginally the cryptocurrencies. I don't
Well,
know if
nobody's saying
Bitcoin.
that they're not being used marginally, but for them to be a mainstream, financially backed institutional currency, it's just not going to happen. It's not
True.
real. For example, if for some reason, and for example, the World Economic Forum keeps saying that there's going to be a huge technological fall where all the electrical and network systems in the world are going to go down one day and some catastrophe. As much as I don't believe that will happen anytime soon, that is still a possibility. What happens to the crypto uh, if all the hard drives in the world get wiped for some reason?
But that's, I mean, the only thing that would eventually happen is like a solar flare. But if a solar flare happens, we're going to back to the Stone Age anyway. It's the
Well,
thing
not
is that
necessarily. Not necessarily.
okay, if you wish to elaborate.
Just because the electrical systems are going to be down, the people that still know how to run uh, certain faculties that of our civilization will still be around. I mean, engineers will still be around. You will find workarounds. We only lived with electricity very recently. Just 100 years ago, electricity was just newly introduced as a faculty in every aspect of life. So this whole idea that if like all the computer systems in the world shut down, we're gonna go back to living in caves. It's like it's kind of
No,
like a
no.
fantasy. Yeah, it's a fantasy notion.
It didn't happen in the Soviet Union collapse. It didn't happen in the Weimar Republic collapse. All that it did was it rebuilt to a bigger, more powerful union and
Yep.
economy. So
Okay,
they're necessary. Recession collapses, depressions are a result of economic policies and failed governance and leadership, and
cooling the
eventually that
heart.
leadership, yeah, basically. So they eventually tried to, like the FDR did and other types of leaders within the United States during the Great Depression in the United States. They failed policies after failed policies, new legislation, new leadership, and they tried new different things. A lot of it failed, and then when they realized to just leave it alone and let it work its way out, it fixed itself.
A question to you both. First to Professor Redpill, and then another question to Punish Usano. The first question to Professor Redpill: how do you see the progression, the prognosis of this recession coming into fruition? How do you think is going to happen? Because when you speak about it, I am reminded of a book called "The Five Stages of Collapse" by a man called Dmitry Orlov, which makes some parallelisms between the collapse of the Soviet Union and the current difficulties that United States economy is going through. So it says that it goes to five stages of collapse. The first one is business as usual. The second is the supply lines get hampered. Then they say that the third one is isolation of communities. The fourth one would be the failure of infrastructure grid, and the fifth one is everyone for himself. This is what happened in the Soviet Union. The fifth one is lethal yet very short-lived. So, according to you, do you think something like this is going to happen in the United States?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like I said, it's not going to be so much of a Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome type scenario. I mean, obviously we know the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome was a result of a nuclear war. I mean, that could happen. I mean, it's
Yes.
out of all the time in history, this is the time when that actually could happen. I mean, but at the same time, I think as I wrote in various articles and tweets and information that this was going to be a gradual decline. till 2025. I pretty much guessed it to the T, the time period that the collapse would happen. But I mean, others predicted as well, Gerard Salente and other experts and economists and whatnot. And there's two different views on each side of economists, that talk about this sort of thing. But the de-dollarization is a fact. It is happening. It is documented. It's well researched and well peer reviewed in journals and other scholarly materials. The thing is since we went off the gold standard during the Depression, you could see that the currency has devalued from full basically dollar to gold to, I believe, 75% reduction in its buying power since the Great Depression, which means that 75 cents on the dollar, and it's actually probably higher now, and it is continually devaluing, is what pays with your purchasing power. So that means that when you take a US dollar and you go buy something, you're only getting 75 cents of that dollar a day than what you got during the Depression or pre-Depression. Yeah. And now, if you have gold, you get 1 for 1.
I would like to just for the mental exercise. I mean, I would like to I don't know, push back, but throw a monkey wrench on your reasoning. The presidency of the eventual election of Donald J. Trump, if he and everything happens, everything seems to tell us that he is going to be the next president of the United States. How is he going to fare in this scenario you are posing?
Would you like to take that, Sano?
Gusano, if you please.
I'm not really understanding what him as a factor would increase the decline. What you would see would be. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The question would be this one: do you think that the policies implemented by Donald J. Trump are going to eventually stem back the United States economy to a healthier, more sound path of production and recovery? Or do you think that this decline, this recession, is part of a declining empire that is going through its natural process of death?
It really depends on what Trump does when he gets into office. And I don't mean policy. I mean literally what he does. So if Trump goes into office in a more peaceful manner, no, he won't get and none of his policies will be able to be pushed, just like they weren't in during the pre-2020 term, 2016 and 2020. He's going to be subverted at every foot, not only by the Democrats. He actually doesn't even need to worry about them. Their own internal party struggle is keeping them distracted. You can see the evidence of the fact is they have no real strong nominee outside of Gavin Newsom, because there's a push between the old classical liberals, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Clinton faction, the Obamas, and the new, farther left wing, younger, Ilhan Omar. Who's the other one? I know it's AOC. Who's the third one?
You're talking about
the other Arab, because it's the squad, right? It's Ilhan Omar, who's the Somali, AOC, who's the Puerto Rican, and there's the third one. Something Tlaib. I forget her name.
Oh, it's about yeah.
It doesn't matter. Tlaib. So, Cortazio, Omar, and Tlaib, the squad, and there's a fourth one. They're more far left. There's just straight up socialist, even more left than Bernie. So there's internal struggle in the Democrats for that power. Really, what Trump needs to worry about is what we saw the other night in the GOP debate, which is you have these three vipers who were debating each other. But what did the whole GOP debate turn into? Trump's not here. Where is Trump? We need to fight Trump. Trump's a fascist. Trump is this. They were there to platform their positions, and all they could talk about is how we're going to take down Trump, how we're going to subvert Trump, how we need to move away from Trump. So the problem is Trump needs to go in immediately and people are not a lot of more middle centrist people are not going to like this, but he really does need to start prosecuting all these criminals within the government, the Democrats that have been spying on him illegally, that have been using judicial power to go after him and his family, his private affairs, illegal by the way. And he needs to also start firing all the people that the GOP wants to put in his executive branch. If his cabinet is full of GOP picks, nothing is going to get done. And what you're really going to have is a slower version of the Joe Biden administration. You're going to have war in the Middle East. We might step out of Ukraine. That might be a position that the GOP takes, which is what you're seeing now. But what we're going to have is war with Iran and war with Taiwan, war in Taiwan against China. So I don't see if Trump doesn't immediately start vacuuming up the rats on the boat, the ship's going to sink. So there's not going to Trump is not Trump's there what Trump is here to solve, what Trump needs to solve as president is not the economic issue. What he needs to solve is the political issue and the demographic issue in the United States. The issues in the United States, the economy needs to come last because those are problems that are really deep that he can fix in 4 years. What he needs
Josh,
to fix is the demographics.
After you finish, Josh goes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, like what? Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is with economy, like I said during the Depression, it fixes itself. You know that you lit in a capitalist society, a free market enterprise. You let the businesses and the entrepreneur fix the economy. It's that simple. And yeah, you're right. You know, all that Trump needs to do, or any leader for that matter, even Biden himself, you know, the current leader that's in power, is get out of the way. Yep. You're in the way of commerce. You're in the way of the economy. You need to just back away, make it easier for businesses to operate, make it easier for them to do business and to trade. That's it. So, I mean, tariffs are good. Like if you're dealing with like international business, kind of like what I said with Trump last week or the week before. Tariffs are good if you want to allow domestic product to increase. So basically, if you have a product like Elon Musk, for instance, with Tesla, Teslas are made in the United States and they're sold in the United States. They're also sold abroad. But you know, Chinese companies are starting to come in, and other types of foreign companies are starting to try to come in to sell in the U.S. market. If you have tariffs on those, it makes it easier for Elon Musk to manufacture and sell cars within the domestic United States. Mm-hmm. And in that regard, he's able to deliver a better, higher quality product at an affordable price and able to compete in the domestic marketplace.
This reminds me of some shows before that we mentioned about the faceless, nameless, second tier, third tier career politicians and public servants that hate Trump just because he doesn't belong to policy. This is the main stone in the foot.
I actually will push back on that notion. That's like a common misreading of why they actually dislike Trump. Trump's actually not very different from them. He is more of like American than most of the individuals in politics are cosmopolitan, international, global citizens. People like AOC, Ilhan Omar, they may have American passports, but when you actually just talk to them, they don't view themselves as American. They have a deep dislike of Americanness, whatever version of that you think, you know, you be in the Midwest, a Southerner like us, or you're in the Northeast or the West Coast or whatever. They don't like Americans. That's just the truth. You have people in the American government high up that just straight up do not like Americans. And because they're cosmopolitan global citizens, they view themselves as a citizen of the world. And anybody that has any type of nationalistic sentiment, as subtle as that may be, they view that as anathema. They can't stand by it. So they hate Trump because it's not him necessarily. It's the people around him. It's his supporters.
What he stands for.
Yeah. If you go to, I've actually been to one MAGA rally. Really cool. The people there are genuinely people that do not make more than like $40,000 or $50,000 a year. They're literally some of like the poorest working class people, and they've been angry for a really long time. Me and Josh used to have this discussion when we first met, and I would tell him, think about some boomer, the people that came out and voted in 2016 for Trump. Imagine these are guys who are working class, white, older guys who, for example, their eldest son went out to Iraq and came back a PTSD ridden
Mhm.
zombie who the
Yeah.
state didn't take
Drug
care of.
addicted,
Yep, drug
drug
addicted
addicted, drug
and
addicted with
mentally ill.
painkillers and
Yep.
opiates that the government pushed on them through the
Yep.
big pharma. Yeah, exactly.
Instead of taking care of him, they shoved him pills, and now he's a dysfunctioning vegetable that their father has to take care of. Their other
Mhm.
kid was the father took out loans to send them to school, and he came back some liberal with all sorts of weird, wacky ideas. Another dysfunctional individual, and they've watched their town slowly be robbed of its industry. They grew up in a
Mhm.
time when there was still
They were
factories
Democrats
around.
too.
Yeah, they were,
They were all
and they were
Democrats too.
betrayed by the Democratic Party, and
Mhm.
towns were hollowed out. There's ghost towns in America that were previous smaller industrial sectors that
Well,
are completely.
Detroit.
Yep,
Detroit
Detroit is a
is
huge
the
example,
most blatant, I would say,
and
pornographic
Chicago,
example.
Detroit and Chicago, and Baltimore,
Yeah.
dead
We're also
city.
forgetting Middle America, West
Right.
Virginia, and the
Yep,
Appalachia with
the
all the
coal
coal
towns.
mines.
Yep,
Yeah, the coal towns were heavily Democrat. They were Southern Democrats, for I mean years
yep,
because of the unions, because the unionization created jobs and they put money into the local economy. And then when the agenda changed, and then with this new Green New Deal bullshit,
yep,
those towns become crack dens. They become like meth heads and meth addicts and
yep,
crime ridden and poverty stricken towns on welfare.
yep.
And when the opiate epidemic came in after, that was also under the Obama administration with
Mhm.
pushing the opiates into these small towns and everything. They systematically destroyed the
Yep.
small town America
And
and the
this
working
resentment's
man.
been growing. I mean, dude, you've watched your town get hollowed off. You've seen your previous job get sent overseas. Your children are dysfunctional, full on drugs. They've been indoctrinated. As a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old man, why would you not be angry? Everything that you knew has been destroyed or thrown away, and you're told that if you have any feeling about it, you're a bad person, you're a racist, you're this, you're that. um if it's not fair, and people got sick of it. Men especially were angry. They saw Trump was speaking the truth about these people, and they came out and voted for him. They don't hate Trump necessarily. He is simply an outlet for the anger of the American man, and they really hate Americans. There's just no other word. They say it openly. They dislike Americans. They create entire sections of the FBI meant to go and hunt down any Americans. If you have any type of nationalistic tendency, you're considered a terrorist and an enemy of the state and a homeland security threat.
Yeah, you could see this with the January 6th, with
Yep.
all the different people they demonized, and they gave serious lengthy federal sentences. And then they didn't even stop there. They went
On
after who
misdemeanor
was
charges.
right, and who was it? Schreider just got out recently. That was Alex Jones's assistant,
He
one of
was
his
held
his anchors.
indefinitely and tortured. A friend of Nick Fuentes, Baked Alaska, was tortured by the FBI. They put him in
What?
solitary confinement for 23 hours a day for 3 months on a misdemeanor charge.
The idea was to break his will.
Was to break his will.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen because I've seen it happen.
Okay, things come into my mind as I hear you gentlemen speak. The first one is that, is it more, how much of it do you think is a premeditated effort to destroy the nation, and how much is just stupidity and lack of foresight from these second and third wheel cosmopolitan public servants that are more interested in keeping their patch of grassland of governmental power and money and income in this very specific mismanagement of the nation's assets.
you want to go ahead and judge?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is the whole point of American Dream, and George Carlin made a kind of a interesting joke to it. You have to be asleep to see it. That's why they call it a dream. But
Because this is the way I see it. I mean, I believe this is the same is happening to Argentina. Argentina is simply mismanaged. The way I see United States is mismanaged. If you get all these beta sneaky Ivy League guys out of the government, out of their toll booths, which have that's just toll booths, and you just allow people to trade and to do business and to make money, this would never happen. I mean, we wouldn't be in this mess. The same is happening in Argentina. We wouldn't be in this mess if we would simply allow people to do business and to keep them the money of their deeds so they can reinvest. But it's not happening. That's why we ended up choosing a libertarian. Now, the principle of Hanlon says, do not attribute to evil what can be explained through stupidity. According to you, do you think, I mean, let's just put on our conspiranoid hat. Do you think some of it has to do with some sort of hollowing out the United States? Or it's simply mismanagement of people with low IQ who sell themselves as capable?
Well, I'll speak to it. I actually don't think this is a mismanagement at all, because you see a lot of the think tanks, for example, that talk about what they want for the United States and their inklings and what they want to see, 10, 20, 30, 40 year old 30 10, 20, 30, 40 year plans that they've set, and more or less they've hit a lot of their markers. Um and this is not just
Okay.
in the United States, this is also in Europe, but I'll just speak to America for right now. For example, we talked about the vision for the new American century last in the last stream, where they wanted to basically implement Reaganite international politics. So a strong U.S. military that could basically using soft and hard power instill American interests across the world, regardless of its proximity to America, using the subtle threat of the American military, as well as using a basically strong hyper capitalist economy to further dollarize the world more than it already has. And although this plan officially ended in, I believe it was 2011, a lot of the effects are still there. They've already hit all their markers. There's no further input that they really need to have. Another thing was was a lot of people have heard about this, the Kalergi plan. This was I don't Mario, have you heard of that?
No, if you were so kind to explain it to me and to the audience, I would be very much I appreciate it.
So the Kalergi plan was created by this guy named Richard von Coudenhove Kalergi. I believe he was Austrian and East Asian, I believe Japanese, and he was a politician that lived around the 1930s. He had a vision for the future of Europeans, specifically what he called the Eurasians, right? The
Okay.
nations from starting all the way in the West in Portugal and Spain, all the
Mhm.
way to the eastern borders of Asia in China.
We're talking about a huge chunk of land.
Yep. And he believed that man of the future will be of mixed race, that today's races and classes will gradually disappear owing to the vanishing of space, time, and prejudice. The Eurasian Negroid race of the future, similar to the appearance of ancient Egyptians, will replace the diversity of peoples with the diversity of individuals. That was his vision. And Coudenhove, Kalergi, he worked a lot with Western politicians. He was a think tank that he himself was a thinker that worked on a lot of think tanks and influenced a lot of the think tanks in the West, the Brookings Institute and Washington D.C., which is a huge neocon. Once almost every Republican has gone through or been influenced by the Brookings Institute. And what a coincidence that, especially in the United States, you've just seen a mass importation of people from the third world,
Military
people,
age men.
yeah, military age men, single men, and you know, if you have any qualms about it, you're told, "Oh, well, this is for economic reasons, right? We need more workers." Well, there's tons of unemployment in the United States. Why can't we just why can't we just hire more people here in the US? But no, what they do is they bring in these workers that will replace you at your job, and because they're making money, they're gonna eventually have money to start a family. Their kids are gonna stay here. Their kids are gonna grow up to be American, and their lines will continue, and your line will not. And there's a reason that Vivek Ramaswamy talked about the replacement theory. It's no longer a theory because if you look at any pop science article, all they ever talk about on a weekly basis is that in 10 to 20 years, the demographics of America, where everybody will be a minority. There will be no majority in the United States.
I remember when you said that this sketch. No, it wasn't a sketch, but it appeared in a Saturday Night Live show. Not this Saturday Night Live. It was Jimmy Fallon when he just read that in some time the now the white people are officially not the majority, and everybody started cheering on, and
Yep.
this left Jimmy Fallon with a horrified look, like what?
Yep.
And it was like a red pill moment for many. Do you remember that?
Yep.
It's on YouTube.
And I mean, what I mentioned a couple shows ago in Germany, I believe now officially white Germans are only 50% of the population. And the government celebrated by created postage stamps that showed the demographic decline over the last 20 years. Um, and that you could buy these little postage stamps to show that your country is dying.
That's
It's ridiculous.
so.
Well, look,
That's
I
no. It
remember.
is.
Go ahead.
You please go ahead.
No, yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and last year the Mario, you know that out of every year the U.S. Census is done, right?
Yeah.
To see the demographics of the U.S. Well, last year, when the 2022 census, excuse me, earlier this year when the 2022 census was finally compiled and released, non-Hispanic whites, so Hispanic whites that are like of mainly Western European descent, right? German, French, British. I believe
Austrian.
they're only yeah they're down to I believe 55% in the United States. If you include like white Hispanics like Castizo Mexicans or South Americans, it's still
Yes.
about 68%. But if you take them out, if you go to the original stock whites, they're only about 50 something percent. And this was celebrated by the mainstream media. They said this is a huge push forward for the diversity of the United States.
I would like to make a reflection, some sort of a thought, some thinking about it, because we all gamers. I mean, to everybody to enjoys this. I mean, I enjoy Total War games, and I was just playing this game called Attila, Total War Attila, and eventually a great part of this game was just about the migration of whole swaths of people because of the on the conquer and the pillaging and the advance of the Hun, which came on horse. Many factions. This is, of course, this is a game, but of course was inspired by real history. They were forced to migrate. We're talking about thousands, if not millions, of people packing their stuff and living somewhere else, which this led to great mixing of races. And sometimes, I mean, and this brings me to mind the concept of recessive genes and dominant genes. That, for example, and this is a natural process when, for example, blonde people have sex, they procreate, and they bring their offspring happens to be of dark hair because their grandchildren or the grandparent had dark hair back in the day. There is a certain many studies by Mendel, I believe, a doctor called Mendel, geneticists, which were interested in this. Of course, the Third Reich was very much interested into these discoveries, which of course were inherited by the Americans and the CIA on their MK Ultra project. Now, with this background, I'd like to say that this idea of mixing the men artificially under the guise of the guidance of an active human mind is folly, because nature will find its own way. And if nature, the earth wants to bring forth European people will be born, even out of Chinese. What I mean is that, let me give you a quick example. There was a couple of hundred years ago, there was la Guerra del Paraguay, the War of Paraguay, in which Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, they were all got together fighting against Paraguay. And Paraguay ended up losing 90% of its male populations. Of course, this led, but eventually in the 40 years that led to the surrender of Paraguay, all the children, like in the 40 years, like 9 out of 10 children that they were born, they were male. Nobody could explain that. There is a collective conscious, Jung explains this. There is a collective conscious that far surpass our individual way of agreeing with one another. It's beyond us. That dictates destinies, collective destinies. That's why, for instance, we have this atavic memory in which we resemble like mannerisms and customs of our ancestors without even met them. So this experiment, if anybody of the elites are listening to us, you can try, but you will fail, because you cannot defy God and expect to come triumphant. When I'm talking about the collective consciousness, I am talking about God, if you will, nature, something beyond us, the immaterium, what Jung used to call the collective unconscious. People, and when I say the peoples of the world, the migrators, the nations, will eventually evolve beyond your designs. This will happen. You will not be able to destroy white people, because you cannot destroy any people. I mean, you can. Black people will continue to be born as the same as white people, Europeans, and such. You can destroy the white genes, and one day, out of an anomaly, a white boy with blue eyes will appear from a Chinese mother and a black father, and nobody will know how. Because nature works in chaos. Nature thrives on chaos. That's pretty much what I have to say.
No, I totally agree. There's a lot of propaganda now that basically is shoving people into mixing. And again, I'm not necessarily like, it's not like a sin or something, but people need to understand that humans are not just interchangeable gray blobs. There's this big misconception, and academia shovels this, but there's actually no evidence for it, that humans are all the same below the skin. That skin color is a product of environment solely, and not a product of genetics. That there is no differences between genetically between a man from Africa and a man from Eurasia, and that's just not true. If you talk to any just any general practitioner, a doctor, what they call pediatricians in the United States, they'll tell you that on average, African American men, their bone density is 3% higher than a Europeans. Is that a skin color? No, that's not skin color. That's below. Is that some type of just surface level difference? No, that is entirely a difference of pure genetics. Same thing with athleticism. On average, white Europeans tend to be stronger, but Africans tend to have more fast twitch muscles, which leads to more explosiveness. That's why they make such phenomenal athletes for the sports that are mainstream.
And of course, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is the thing. I mean, if we import people which have a higher bone density, but they are not predisposed to create jobs or to make industries, things will go sour. For instance, what we're saying is that many of these Europeans are they have this business mindset of doing something out of profit, and of course inserting themselves into the economy. Now, United States, as a very much a country made essentially by Europeans, built by Europeans, they had this huge idea of how to make money, of make money in the sense of do industry, and this industry is faltering.
Yeah, I mean, for example, we're both Hispanic. You know about the practice of la siesta, right? That
Yes,
between noon and 2, where everybody goes and takes a break. They can go take a nap, go get some lunch.
3 hours.
Very contrary. Yeah, 2 to 3 hours. People in the United States, traditionally, you have the Protestant work ethic where you work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. You only rest on the Lord's Day, and you work till the bone. And they view this as a divine work. It's a way to get closer to God in their eyes. And even though Spanish people and Anglos are both European, there's such a difference in their attitude towards the work culture.
Exactly.
Spanish descended people tend to like more rest days. The Protestant views only religious holidays as viable, but the mostly Catholic, Latin descended people, they have many more holidays. They have entire weeks like Semana Santa, right?
Yes.
The Saints Week, where people just take a break. How can you, in an economy, how can you bring these two vastly different cultures in? You have a system of based on the Anglo-Saxon work ethic, and you're going to bring people that view this as too much. It's not that their system's inefficient, but their system is different. They're not going to want to work 16 hours a week. You can't bring Spanish people into an Anglo workplace and then at midday take a 2-hour break. It's just not going to work.
What will happen is that you can have two geographically different regions that they both have their own systems and they can trade on one another.
Yep.
Because eventually, why did the Spanish Empire, as vast and as advanced that it was, ended up collapsing? Because they didn't manufacture anything. They bought anything and nobody worked. And when the bills came due, nobody could pay them. So eventually it all collapsed.
Yep.
It didn't happen to for example, Germany didn't need colonies because their whole industry, the whole nation could support its own industry because, of course, they live to work through work. It's like in Spanish, we trabajar para vivir y vivir para trabajar. The thing is that in religion acts as an operating system for the human being. As it would be, I like to think that the Catholic Church was the first software company of the history, because what they did was I'm sorry.
They were more than that. I mean, they were the leading contributors to modern science and technology and arts, literature.
The Gregorian calendar.
Exactly. Like, they contribute a lot to modern society.
But eventually it was all intangible. It's like we tell you how to instead of a product. See my point? That's why I call software. The thing is this, is that eventually the Catholic Church, when they started doing this, I lost my train of thought. But I want to what I meant to say is that eventually you had this trade the Spanish Empire. When the Spanish Empire collapsed because they couldn't relate, they depended on external factors in order to get their profits. But and we're going to finish with this because we're going to take a 15-minute break and then we'll come back. But let me finish with this and then we're going to give our closing statements. A nation needs to keep its numbers and its production safe and sound. And this is the thing, is that we got many foreigners with the intention of enjoying the profits of the welfare state created by the prosperity of the Western nations. The problem is the numbers can't hold, and that's all I have to say. That's why we're having this creature. I mean, Punish Gusano and Josh, if you would like to give your closing statement for this segment, please be welcome.
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, basically, the reality is that the economy it's ongoing, like it's continual. It's a continual living thing. So I mean, like when you get too much involved into, like, government gets too involved in it, the government gets too big and too much regulation, it burdens the system to the point where companies and organizations and small business owners have to like make small adjustments, and they continue to adjust. You saw this during the Obama administration, during the 2008 recession, where businesses were having to make cuts and different things. They were the products were starting to become not
Green
as
shoots.
yeah, exactly. And this is the result. So we're seeing that now. And like I said, this is my closing in this segment, but basically we're seeing now the same repercussions and the same realities that we saw in '08 with this current pending recession that I think we're already in. We're headed towards a depression, in my honest opinion, my expert opinion. But we're starting to see this now with the quality of food, the quality of services, the quality of different government services as well. It's coming to a climax, to a collapse. It is going to happen. I wholeheartedly believe.
Polish Gusano, if you'd like to give any closing statements, this is your moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the assumptions, I agree with a lot of the stuff that Josh says. A lot of the assumptions of the economy is people treat it almost like just like an on switch that you can throw pegs into and it'll just work. Constant interference with the economy, regardless of what wing they come from, left or right, it doesn't work. You do to a level need to allow it just to breathe. But just this constant patchwork of, for example, we set things in motion and then 3 years later it just gets shut down. Phenomenal example is that pipeline that Joe Biden shut down when he became president. Though there were contracts,
the Keystone Pipeline,
the Keystone
created
Pipeline,
massive unemployment in my sector, in the energy sector.
Yep. I mean,
Yep.
dude, there were contracts that were already signed. There were workers that were already relocated, and he just shut it down. I mean, you know how much money that cost and how many people just lost their jobs? Once those contracts are signed and that money is moved, if that operation doesn't go through, that money is lost, and those people, that business venture is dead. So it's this constant. We set something in motion, and then 3 years later, when we're ready to go, it gets shot in the leg. This is the reason the United States, its economy has just been teetering to its death for the last 10 years.
Well, the same happens to Argentina. In Argentina, it's the same thing, because they allow business to come in, and that when they establish and they get comfortable, then they tax them into oblivion, forcing them to leave. And eventually it happens, a huge hole in the economy. Well, being this all, we're going to, it's 07. It's 9 p.m., 9:07 Miami time. We're going to take a 10-15-minute breaks. We're going to grab a snack, drink some water and some coffee, and we'll be right back. Stay with us, and we'll be right back. Punish Gusano, Professor Red Pill, 50 minutes, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Yeah, also, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and stay with us. We'll be on in a short period. Hold on.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Welcome back to the Straight Talk, where we dot the I's and cross the T's with our recurring guests, Professor Red Pill and Punish Gusano. Now, back from our break, we can continue our show. Now, having discussed the economy, now we have another news about it, which is the concept of online censorship. This week, something remarkable happened, which is Elon Musk dropping the F-bomb. Now, what can we, Josh, our expert in the international politics, what can you say about it? I mean, wasn't that something out of the blue? Like our dear Elon Musk, the inventor, the entrepreneur, the trailblazer, saying "fuck you" to everyone. What was that all about?
I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation. I mean, I couldn't put it past him. He's been kind of a vocal guy. I mean, he literally, Twitter is Elon Musk and Musk is Elon Twitter. He pretty much, I mean, for lack of better words, like he's literally like the brand. And it was pretty obvious that he was going towards purchasing it because, you know, without Elon Musk, Twitter doesn't really exist. And he, you know, we know that Elon Musk at one time was one of the most Googled names in on the internet. And, you know, he received a lot of the volume of the tweets on Twitter, or X now, formerly known as Twitter. But it's a rather interesting situation, to say the least.
Now, apparently what he said, it was because he was being blackmailed. The idea is that, am I going to be blackmailed on advertisement? I mean, he's got fuck you money. And he actually used his prerogative on this fuck you money. Like, tell them they go fuck yourself. And he says something about Bob. Which Bob do you think he was referring to?
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger, which happens to be the CEO of Disney conglomerate, which happens to be one of the most vocal and most staunch pushers of the woke message.
Yeah, I mean, basically it comes down to wokeism. And, you know, obviously, like I said before with the economy, our last segment, this wokeism is starting to harm businesses. And you're starting to see this with go woke, go broke. Who said that?
I heard
Donald Trump. The Don said that. He said, go woke, go broke. And that's been a meme, a running meme for the last 2-3 years or 4 years now going on, you know, under the certain Biden regime. So, now, I mean, that's, go ahead.
Go ahead. This seems to me a clash of civilizations, a clash of worlds. Like, you got on one side, on one side, we got our champion, Elon Musk, going into free speech and the things that as good as they should be. And then you got Bob Iger with Disney and the wokeism. Would this be the case?
I mean, the situation is that, you know, Disney has destroyed its brand. Wokeism has destroyed Disney's brand. And we see this with all the different woke movies and shows. I mean, we see this. We talked about this on your Spanish Straight Talk on Saturdays that usually run. Yesterday, actually, yes. You know, about how Star Wars, the wokeism in Star Wars has destroyed the Star Wars brand. So it's literally like an octopus with tentacles, and it's like poisonous tentacles, you know, because you know squids like produce poison and stuff, right? So like
Yes.
their poison is injecting into all of these different venues and areas of economy and business and media and social media. And it's basically destroys anything it touches. It's like a cancer. You know what I mean?
There's this South Park episode calling the Panderverse.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Enter
about.
the Enter the Band, which happens to be hilarious and very poignant regarding. I mean, there was Kathleen Kennedy demanding to eat a gay chicken because she demanded her gay chicken, and of course there was Bob Iger think. I mean, wondering how pushing the message was not strong enough because they were losing money by pushing the same message all the time. It was funny because it was horrendously relatable. And now this comes to him. Why do you think there is this online censorship push to make Twitter palatable to the powers that be?
Well, like I said, I've got a clip. It's 4 minutes long, and the thing is, and currently, people that are covering it within the I would say red pill community or like the alt media community, they're not giving the full context of what Elon Musk is saying. And hopefully this clip a bit longer, because a lot of the people don't have, they're trying to give this clickbaity 10-minute, 15-minute segment. Go ahead.
I want to see that clip.
Yeah,
Show me that.
I'm gonna show it. Hold on. There we go.
Do you see this thing? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
I do, because I actually followed your entire trip to Israel.
Right.
Why don't you tell everybody?
This says bring them home. The hostages. It was given to me by the parents of one of the hostages. And I said I would wear it as long as there was a hostage still remaining. And I have.
What was that trip like? And obviously, you know that there's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
How do you think then about the economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
F-Y.
I understand that, but there's a reality too, right?
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, no, totally. So, no. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do? It's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say, we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say,
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, right? That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
So this goes back to
we'll both make our cases,
right?
And we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
What do you think then of the? This goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone, and it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
But you recognize that some of those people are going to say that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, and I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a second.
Tell it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be
the judge is the public,
and you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake?
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, there are some that are for lots of different reasons, but you think that this is going to that you have this goes to actually the interesting of power and leverage.
Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may.
Okay.
All right. So this closing statement, he said, "Let the chips fall where they may."
No. I this is man accepting the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man putting his foot down.
Yeah. As I said, Elon Musk is a transformational leader. What is the pillar of a transformational leader? They're authentic. They're a communicator. They're an effective communicator. And they create change. Great change.
So this is a clash of civilizations. This is East versus this is Flavio Aetius stepping down against Attila the Hun.
I think it's a bit more than that. Understand the words that he's using. He's saying global community, the people, the earth. He's referring to this wokeism as a cancer on the planet, not a U.S. or a Western cancer. It's a cancer for everybody on earth.
When I got struck when he said the judge will be the people, and if X fails, it will fail because of
advertisers
boycott, and people will know that it was advertiser boycott. It wasn't because of me saying those uncomfortable things, especially when he says we bring this little. Well, the first thing he said, "This is my bring them home." I stand with the people. I mean, at one point, I stand with the victims of Israel, not with the military of Israel, but this was he saying that the victims of the matter, not the military aggression, not the Israeli forces, not the globalists who are pushing the agenda, the people with this little penchant. And then it's like, okay, go fuck someone. He tells Disney. Now, in my ignorance, I failed to make the connection between Disney and the globalist. The globalist and the Israeli effort to make their way into Gaza. If anybody wishes to clarify me, I would be very much obliged.
Yeah, you want to take it, Pisano?
Can you repeat that again?
The thing is, I failed to make the connection between Disney as a company with Bob Iger and the Israeli effort in Palestine on the Gaza Strip.
Well, I mean, well, it's actually quite simple. Just look up where Bob Iger's family's from, and that'll start making a lot of sense.
But I did my some thorough research on Bob Iger, and I understand he's a Catholic.
Bob Iger?
Yes.
I actually didn't know that. I assumed the otherwise. It's usually the MO.
Yeah.
Right. But then again,
so he's a Catholic. He's a Catholic, but what type of I mean, the reality is that the Disney agenda or the Disney wokeism is more of a systemic issue. I mean, it's like it's a group of people that are involved. It's the board, it's the followers, it's everything. But the thing is that the consumers of Disney,
it's an inertia,
right? And that's all that this is. This is like the communism woke speak. What is it? Double speak, 1984 type stuff. They're creating a regime change from the grassroots through music, entertainment, and propaganda. I mean, You remember the Biden regime created this this administration called the what was the name of that damn thing called with that crazy lady that was she was musical like she did Broadway, and she apparently was the minister of this, the minister of propaganda. It only lasted a week, and then there was so much backlash from the people in the United States that they had to close the administration. It was only open for it was only administration for like a week or two.
Oh yeah, it was like the Bureau of like Miss it was
Misinformation. That's it.
misinformation. Yeah.
Yeah. Ministry of
Actually,
Truth.
they named
Ministry
it
of Truth, literally.
misinformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Let me look it
named
up.
it misinformation. You're not shitting me.
Yes. You don't remember that? It got memory hold. Nobody even talks about it anymore.
Damn, man. I mean, the goal, the audacity. I'm speechless,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, the Disinformation Governance Board. It was a piece of the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah. That's a military wing of the government. It's a military law enforcement wing of the government.
Okay.
Yeah, Nina Jankovic was the was the head of it. Who's
I am completely
troll face. I call her troll face. She looks like the troll face.
Does.
Like yeah.
I'm completely uninformed about the what did Elon Musk say regarding the why did he bring so much backlash, in the sense that having Disney pull out its advertisements. Can anybody please any one of you two? I mean, I believe Punish Busano be so kind to
what
to you seem to be the most informed. I mean, Josh, of course, you can chime in, but
on what specifically?
On the thing is, what did Elon Musk say or wrote on X? All those are paid for. Okay, that
X is the only platform you can trust for honest information. All others are bought and paid for.
Well, he said something else, and he liked something else specifically that got him in a lot of trouble, which was a post, I believe, done by, it might have been Keith Woods. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he basically liked a post talking about the certain individuals that are backing a lot of the immigration into historically white Western countries, and how they all share similar
beliefs.
Sure. Well, more similar ancestral traits. And he retweeted and affirmed it.
Customs, religions, and philosophy.
Right.
And lore?
Yeah. Let's go with that. And he liked that tweet. He retweeted it, and then he commented about it. He really tripled down on it, and this was all over the mainstream news. I've never seen them pick up an Elon Musk story so fast.
And I am sure a lot of guys who are fanatics of a little funny crooked cross, they jumped in joy, saying, "We were not wrong after all. We were right all along."
Yep.
Yeah. So I wrote. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
Please. No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying. I wrote an article on my Twitter account, or sorry, my locals account a while back. This was like when Elon Musk was trying to acquire the company, about zombie tech platforms and the future of Twitter. I wrote that apparently Twitter is bankrupt. They have a lot of debt because it wasn't a very profitable platform, and Musk realized this after he made a bid to buy it, which is why he tried to back out of the deal. Then Twitter's board sued Elon to purchase it because he was in a breach of contract. Sounds like a very good business model to me. It sounds like Musk is trying to put a woke narrative in its management structure in order to sell it so he can get it off his books. Twitter is just another zombie tech company.
I actually have the tweet specifically. Josh, are you cool with me reading it?
Go ahead.
So, an account known as the artist, formerly known as Eric, at Breaking Bat, BAHT. Okay, and I'm going to read it. Okay, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit now about the Western Jewish populations coming to the disturbing, and the tweet goes on, and Elon Musk not only retweeted it, he liked it and responded, "You have said the actual truth."
I remember having said something of that. I don't remember it was just this. Okay, the word Jewish is out in the open. This brings me to another aspect, which seems to be that the Congress is trying to push a bill that wants to equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that is the as a matter of fact, I'd love to speak on this if I may. According to Homeland Security, there is actual in the only protected group that have this. There's an actual stated legal definition of anti-Semitism, and that is specifically to question anti-Zionism, but more specifically, if you accuse any American person of Jewish or Israeli descent of having dual loyalty, if they to America and Israel, specifically if they have dual passports, like somebody like Ben Shapiro, for example, very famous conservative pundit.
Rahm Emanuel.
Yep. Yeah, of course. So yeah, the that is the official Homeland Security definition. And what a lot of Republicans, and we need to be honest about this, a lot of Republicans are trying to push is that anti-Zionism is the same thing as hatred against Jews, which it is not, because there are Jews that are not Zionists. There's even religious Jews that are not Zionists. So this is
some Jews were anti-Zionist.
Very much. A lot of religious Orthodox Jews are actually anti-Zionist because they view the current state to be antithetical to the prophecy of their Messiah. So this push by Republicans, not just Democrats, Republicans, is would spare disaster. And Josh, I know you can speak to this with your governor, Ron DeSantis, who after the Kanye fiasco last year, he went and pushed several anti-Semitic hatred laws where in the state of Florida, if you spout any type of perceived hatred towards these people, you can be fined and or jailed.
No, it was a harassment bill, basically. It made a misdemeanor harassment a felony.
Yep.
And it's basically on a person's private property, university, and I think it's more catered towards like violence or threats and things of that nature. So it's just an extension of the already bills that are on. They just specifically stated it towards people of religious backgrounds and things of that nature, to clarify.
So eventually what will happen is like still staying on the online censorship concept. If this bill comes to pass, nobody would be able to make a claim on the excesses committed by the Israeli government, because the Israeli government is Zionist.
Yep.
So eventually, if you make a criticism on that, the U.S. representative passed a resolution equating. It passed the resolution, so it's now a law.
No. So what you guys are referring to, and from the overlay I put on screen, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. 412 yes, 1 no was Republican from Kentucky, Thomas Massey. Now the interesting thing. Hold on, let me take the banner off so you can see the rest. So Democrat Rashad Tlaib, I'm going to butcher that name. Tlaib. That's the person you were talking about before, I believe. Yeah, she was present but didn't vote.
Yeah, that's basically like an indifference for anybody who's outside the United States. Present just means like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm just not going to vote yes or no.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that a Republican from Kentucky voted no.
Yeah.
And a Muslim who's sympathetic towards the Palestinians, in the current conflict, was present but didn't vote.
The Palestinians are alone.
I actually believe Rashida Tlaib is actually Palestinian. I could be wrong because Ilhan.
No, she is. She's Palestinian. Yes, that's what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, she's Muslim and Palestinian, and she decided to vote present, but didn't vote.
If Thomas Macy is watching the show, and Thomas Macy, I gotta say something to you. You got balls, man.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
The other thing about when I looked up Thomas Macy, apparently he's not well liked. He's not well liked by the Trump administration or by Trump. That's what I read.
Were you able to dig out why?
There was an article, I think I posted it on the Telegram channel. I can see if I can pull it up. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, apparently, I guess he's just not well liked by the Trump administration. Let me look him up, and then I'll get you guys. If you guys want to continue on, I'll bring it back later.
I would like to ask Punish Gusano the two things. The first one thing that I wanted to, I don't know if the word pushback is, but to make a small recognition. Remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the homosexuals and the many, and I mentioned something about it's okay to have a homosexual having a lifelong partner to be able to do their life in peace. And you mentioned that was very seldom the case because, and you gave me very specific and sound statistics. And I have to agree with that because hard data is although honesty, intellectual honesty is our currency. And you gave me plenty of factual data that corroborate your point of view in that the homosexuals were very promiscuous and because of their own actions, in dangers of many physical and mental illnesses.
Yeah.
However, I would like to mention some luminaries in the homosexual world that were critical for the red pill world. One of them, several of them, one of them being Jackson Donovan. I think I don't remember the name. Then there was Sean Murray and Milo Yiannopoulos. Although these men, they can be people in risk because of their promiscuity, given their proclivities. Nevertheless, they were pivotal in the development and the birth, I would say, of the Red Pill movement. I'm talking about, once again, Jack Donovan, who was very vocal in the 21 convention. Sean Murray, a British journalist. Of course, Christopher Hitchens, another bisexual. And later, Milo Yiannopoulos. These men were not, they could have been in that very, in those very activities that were very self-destroying. But nevertheless, they gave us plenty of room for us men to survive and thrive. For example, I'm sorry?
Such as?
The Way of Men by Jackson Donovan, a very beautiful work of philosophy. Sean Murray given many articles and many podcasts on how to be on how feminism was harming men.
In what way, though? Because a lot of people will say that, for example, a lot of conservatives will say, oh, feminism was really bad for men. Oh, only second and third. The first wave, we support that. So when people say, oh, feminism is bad, what are they talking about? Are they talking about when women were allowed to vote in 1920? Or are they talking about the third wave feminism that basically made men second and third class citizens in the United States? What do they mean by that? Because that's a very loose term.
True, a very loose term. And I'll give you the benefit, and I'll be with you on that. In the sense that maybe they were pandering on that, yet they still gave it to us. I mean, I found myself deeply moved by The Way of Men, by Jack Donovan, a philosophical art on the beauty of being a man. In the sense that when he spoke about, he was trying to get back on the stoic concept of what a man is in a modern way. The warrior, the man who would just the march of the Titans. He was. I will see if I can just give you a.
I also do want to push back on Milo Yiannopoulos because Milo Yiannopoulos is one of the biggest grifters you've ever seen in the conservative movement. First of all, Milo Yiannopoulos. Josh, can I say the P word on the stream? Okay,
I would advise not.
Yeah, okay. Milo Yiannopoulos was let's just say he had inappropriate relationships with children.
Oh yeah.
One,
I remember that.
Two, he he openly admitted that the way he became the way he was because him and several he actually support he I will give him this. He affirms what I talked about, where a lot of people, a lot of men who are of that lifestyle, that starts from when they're very young, done to them by somebody, a man who is much older than them. Milo Yiannopoulos famously said that his first time he was 16, the guy was 40.
Right.
So
Okay.
he's a
Right.
victim of abuse. Second,
That
he abused children. And third, Milo Yiannopoulos has been one of the most mentally unstable grifters in the conservative right. We saw this with Kanye West when he was in. Yeah, he worked with Kanye West and Nicholas Fuentes on the Ye 24 political campaign for as long as that existed. When he was kicked out because of his mental instability and because he was breaking several SEC guidelines on how to run presidential campaigns, and the campaign was about to be investigated by the federal government, he went on a tirade where he started accusing Kanye West of being a homo and wanting to sleep with him. Milo also pretended to be a reformed Catholic, but was actually still living with his ex-husband and would fly him in to whatever city he had. So nothing about what Milo says or thinks I put any salt into, because Milo's a grifter and he's weird. He's also a Fed.
a what?
I don't know about that. All right. So what are you looking at there, Mario?
This is a compendium of the collections written by Jack Donovan: The Way of Men, a Sky Without Eagles, and of course, Becoming a Barbarian, A More Complete Beast. These are books that delve into the nature, the wild, uncompromising nature of being a man. And I find those books both compelling and beautiful, in the sense that the poetry and the information given, it's akin to Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Maybe it was the idea to becoming a sick man came from Jack Donovan, and Jack Donovan being a declared homosexual. So my point is that I wouldn't want to demonize homosexuals by being homosexuals. Maybe you were right. I'm not going to question all the data you said. I'm going to stand by them. Maybe they are ill people, but I wouldn't take away their humanity, their goodness, although some of them are bad.
It's not about the individuals. My contention is not with one or two individuals. It's the promulgation of that lifestyle and what that entails. It's a general statement, but it's just true. This lifestyle objectively brings no good to any man who really implores it, regardless of how many good books he writes. It's obvious that I guess Mario's stepped out. But
no, he's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just to finish what I'm saying. It's not about dehumanizing them or anything, but we can't really tiptoe around the reality that this type of lifestyle just brings no fruits whatsoever, and it's self-evident. And a lot of the lifestyle, the narratives about that lifestyle in modern society are brought up on lies. It's just the truth. They do not marry like heteros do. They do not have children like heteros do. They don't behave within their marriages like heteros do. The nature of their mindset and why they get into these relationships are abnormal by definition. That's why they're only 2% of the population. It is abnormal by definition. So,
well, that was brought up. Was brought up in the debate. Remember he was saying that it's a mental illness, and then all of a sudden the mainstream media was like, "Oh my God, what's going on? No, there's cats and dogs living together," that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is.
Well, okay.
I mean, they took it way out of context, and it's like, dude, I mean, but he exactly. What was the candidate again? The I forget his name. He doesn't really matter anyway. But
New Jersey.
No, the Indian. Yeah. He said it, and he gave exact history, medical history and like, you know, all of that, like that, you know, originally it was considered a mental illness.
It was spoken yesterday. And
The other day, that we were on. We did the podcast.
If anybody wants a really good summary of the history of the movement, look up an interview done by Professor Dr. Umar. He's a black nationalist, but he's a very smart guy.
Oh yeah, brother Umar.
Dr. Umar. He's a school psychiatrist and a psychologist. He treats children. He talked about that of the 1,000 children he's talked to that have this illness, they're all victims of some type of physical and or sexual abuse, men and women. This is
true.
It's just the truth.
Yeah. I mean, when I was interning, like I said, I was clerking. A lot of what I saw and the you know, in the prison system were people that were victims of substance abuse, and you know what I mean. The whole
drugs are a big way to get
the whole package of self-destruction.
Yeah, I mean, drugs. A lot of them start as drug. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of them start as drug users because a family member gives it to them. To then, while they're in an incapacitated state,
to groom them.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, it's obviously we know that there is drug-induced mental illnesses.
Yep.
People get psychosis, and I don't know how many people I know in my personal life, close friends that have been destroyed. I even have a friend that died at 25, you know, from college, and I still don't know what happened. You know, if I believe it was drug-induced. But she had that lifestyle, you know what I mean? And it's like I lost touch with her, and like, you know, I was gonna reach out to her recently, and I was like, oh my God, she died. You know what I mean? It's like it's killed so many people. And like I said, I think anybody that uses like drugs or substances or like, you know, excessive drinking, that's totally beta, dude.
It is.
It's
I
total,
100% agree.
Beta move, because you look at some of the greatest minds and some of the greatest leaders today. Elon Musk isn't a drug abuser. Donald Trump isn't a drug abuser.
Is a LARP. Yeah, he doesn't act. You think
Putin is not a drug abuser?
Who?
Yeah, I mean, like I may have an occasional drink once in a while, but I'm not habitually drinking. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's not. I'm not drinking to intoxication. I may have like a beer. Or I may have a glass of wine, 100%. And that's about it.
These have a purpose in the sense that, and this I think is teachable for our audience. You can have a drink, you can have a line, you can take a whiff of weed if you wish, but to do that in order to fill the voids in your soul is desaconsejable, Punish Gusano.
Unadvisable. Or incomprehensible would be probably the better word.
I mean, the main thing though is like Mario is like, you know, using drugs and alcohol, it messes the mind. It you
exactly.
know, the thing body. About being the body as well, the spirit, everything. And I mean, you know, the body is a temple, so to speak. And you can look at it from a religious standpoint, but you can also look at it from a secular standpoint. That you see people that have habitual drug use, they're lazy. They're not consistent, and these are things associated with great people, great inventors, great leaders. You know, if you use drugs and alcohol, and then what happens? You get addicted, and then you have to do other things in order to get more alcohol, and it's just an ongoing cycle, and it causes consistency problems, mental clarity problems, and it affects your health. So I mean, if you want to be the best person to your ability, you want to be a Sigma and get the chicks. If you're a man who's listening or watching, a younger Zoomer, dude, man, don't do drugs, man. Don't do alcohol and excessive. Don't mess around with things that, you know, your time is valuable, man. With your time, you need to be watching documentaries. You need to be learning a trade. You need to be reading. Even if you don't like to read, you just listen to some podcasts. Listen to some audiobooks while you're doing something. Yeah, learn. That's the thing, man. It's a lifelong pursuit. Because by the time you get your 30s and 40s, when you're got a little bit of scratch, chicks are going to be like, that guy's smart. That guy's got his shit together. He's consistent. he's confident because he knows his information and he knows what he's got direction in life, I want to hook up with that guy. And then it's you pick of the litter. Who do I want? Who do I want? You know what I mean?
Find yourself a purpose, man. Find yourself a purpose, even if it is just whatever you do. Monetize your goofiness. That's the idea.
Yeah. There was one guy in particular that I just saw his music video. He went to clown college. I showed it to I might be, I don't want to, because of copyright, I don't necessarily want to show the video.
Yeah, don't do that.
But he was saying like how like nobody listened to him, you know, and nobody listened to his music, and then all of a sudden when he was himself, and when he basically made it was, you know, he came out and he brought in stuff about his lifestyle. You know, he became, you know, very popular, and he exploded in popularity. I'll get you the video. You guys can keep talking if you want.
Yeah, go.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it is this one. Please, Busano, go ahead. I mean,
No,
we're actually approaching our deadline, so this may be the right time to do our closing statements. Push.
No, we're good. We could go a little bit longer, man, if you need to.
Yeah,
it's
we're
fine.
good. So
right,
we're good.
Sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, the whole substance abuse is sad, and you know, if you just really think about alcohol, I mean, I don't really judge people that drink alcohol, but let's be real, they're selling you poison. Coors Light, Bud Light, Jack
Light?
Daniels.
Queer Light.
Yeah. Trans Light.
Yeah.
But
no,
but seriously, they're selling you poison. Think about what alcohol is, and we're not even speaking about all the weird other stuff they put in your beers. All those fillers that they use to make them cheap. They're $12, you know, they're $3 a pack for a reason. But regardless,
allow me to push back a little bit on it. I mean, yes, I agree with you, gentlemen, that the body is a temple. But however, it's like if we are going to start nitpicking on the things that harm us, we wouldn't be able to eat anything if it's not organic, found on clandestine grocery markets, because everything at one point, this is something that happens in Argentina, and Argentina, our markets are very much less regulated than yours, in the sense that they put how many chemicals you're being put into your everyday foods. Like, there's not an empty reason why United States is now one of the, if not the most obese nation in the world.
Yeah, but those are things that you know, your water quality, you can only, you know, get so many of the microplastics out of your water. You can't do much about your air pollution outside of your house. Depending on your money, you can only buy such quality level of food. We understand that there's not everybody can go buy to Whole Foods and get the most fresh organic cow they can buy, but things like alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs are 100% a choice. Nobody, you don't need alcohol to live. 100, actually, as a matter of fact, alcohol will dehydrate you. You'll need more water. You don't need marijuana to function. You know, sorry, pothead bros, you don't need marijuana to sleep and eat. There's people that unironically I know in my real life that cannot eat or sleep without smoking weed. What a pathetic life. What would happen if they ran out of money? They would die. So the difference is these are poisons that you're taking a choice to eat. It's unfortunate if you live in a very nasty city like New York. The air pollution is just something you're gonna have to deal with till you can move. The food quality, if you're just starting out, you buy the best food quality that you can. If you can't, it is what it is. Buy yourself a water filter, but even the best water filters can't get all the stuff out of the water. You got to do the best you can. But these other stuff are choices.
Yes, if we were talking about having a wholesome life, try for 3 months to refrain from pornography. And if I know this for consumers is a very difficult thing, but try not to make the snake spit.
Try to fill your time. Don't have too much idle time, because that's when you start venturing.
Exactly. Find yourself activities that fulfill your soul and put an strenuous effort in your body. Go to the gym, go rock climbing, get back, study, and go to sleep, and sleep sound. Have no problems, and don't lie, because this is the thing. If you don't lie, you don't need to remember what you said. And it's a lot of bandwidth, of free bandwidth in your mind.
Yep.
That's the greatest thing and that's the thing. People respect you more if you're atrocious than if you're a wimp. If you're a wimp, you're beta. If you tell the truth, even if the truth brings down empires, people will respect you. In the sense that, oh, please don't speak. No, don't speak. Do you want me to speak? No, shut up. And they would, but then you'll feel proud of yourself.
So I've got it. I'm gonna put this clip. It's about 5 minutes, but it's about this guy, like I said, Oliver Tree. He was on Steve-O's podcast, and he was talking about like how he became famous and stuff like that. If you don't mind,
sure,
go for it.
You guys hear the audio?
No. No.
All right, hold on. It's not working.
I laughed when it was on a gym like that.
I don't know. It's not working. Never mind.
No, don't worry. I mean, you can put it on the comment section, write it down, and copy paste it in the comment section, so we can do the dear audience and us. We can watch it in our spare time.
Okay. So, like I said, go ahead.
We got tangled up in this conversation when actually the main subject was to speak about the idea. First of all, online censorship. The idea is that they want to guilt trip Elon Musk into self-censor his platform. Of course, Elon Musk told them to go take a hike, and now, I mean, probably how far are we from the mainstream media to label Elon Musk an anti-Semite?
They already did.
They already did.
Yeah, that's why he had to take the trip to Israel.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That was the context of the video I just showed. That's what they were talking about.
That's why he said some atonement and things like that. So he did that. He did. Do you think this was a sort of a pandering, or something was more like an honest thing?
How do you mean?
Pandering could be an honest thing.
No, he did the trip. He did the kiss the kiss the ring and stuff and do the thing.
Well, it's more like kiss the wall, but yeah.
Yeah. But at the end,
at the
end of
there was a good one, Punish Kusana. You're getting smarter. Good.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's come to the realization that it doesn't fucking matter. Because, like I said, I said that Twitter was going to become a zombie platform once Musk took over, and it kind of lost. They've lost a lot of subscribers.
But they gained so many more, because essentially what happened. This is me, and I could be wrong, but I've seen Twitter being revitalized with life.
Yeah. After
the takeover from Musk.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's at the end of the day, like I said, he is a magic man, dude. And like I said, he's like Steve Jobs and all these other transformational leaders in the past. I mean, this guy is putting his customers first, like Steve Jobs did. And he's like, hey, I'm listening to, this is all part of transformational of running a successful organization. You put your followers first, you listen to your followers, your team members, you make sure everybody contributes, and you all have a shared vision and goal. And these are all demonstrated through his leadership. And like I said, I see great things with Twitter. But like I said, when it was at the time that he took it over, it became a zombie platform. Exactly. They found so many. Yeah, they found so many bots in the system. And like I remember, like even in Google, YouTube, there's so many bots. It's not even funny. Like a lot of these influencers that get these million views and whatnot, most of that's bots. A lot of that is they paid the YouTube money to get into the algorithm. The biggest grifter of all of that is Ben Shapiro with his Daily Wire or whatever, right? They pay millions of dollars to Google each month to put their videos at the top of the list. Also, that's why they're so popular.
He also has he has a guy at YouTube that will literally, whenever the algorithm at flags his videos, the people at the Blaze can just notify them and it'll be unmarked. That was exposed
Yeah.
recently by Steven
Yeah.
Crowder.
But isn't that tampering?
No.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you're paying to play. That's
Yeah.
what Twitter has become. But Twitter is more transparent about it. They're like, hey, sign up for a premium, or they're like, hey, this tweet, monetize it so that we can spread it further. So you're paying for views, and they're transparent about it. Versus YouTube is backdoor stuff. It's like, hey, we'll push your algorithm, we'll push your videos and your content, but you gotta meet us in the back room and pay us our cut. You see what I'm saying?
So this reminds me of pay to win games.
It's the same concept.
Yeah,
it's all technical. It's all tech. It's all tech. It's what goes on in tech, what goes on in gaming, goes on in YouTube and other types of social media and the tech platforms. It's all the same grift.
I like to make a remark because something I remember that's about what we're speaking about, the anti-Zionism equating to anti-Semitism. I remember speaking to and having some Jewish proponents on Twitter and talking to them that actually many Jews in good faith they think that Zionism is Judaism on its finest form, because eventually it's pushing the interests of what is the best of being Jewish. And I remember reading this because I just remember this from a political pundit. It's not a political pundit. There's this character in Argentina called Carlos Maslaton, who happens to be a Bitcoin user who happens to have hit it big in the 2016. I'm talking about this guy he doesn't say it, but it's implied that he's actually a billionaire. So he's very active on Twitter. This guy, I'm going to write the name on it. And he actually is very adamant because, well, it's understandable. He is Jewish. And he's very adamant on the Jewish cause. And of course, he is appreciative of everything Israel has to say and do. It doesn't matter. Everything that the Jewish do is good. So eventually, that's what I remember him saying, that Zionism is Judaism on overdrive. What would be your opinion about it?
I have no opinion. To be honest, I don't care.
Okay. Susana, would you like to say something?
I wouldn't say it's. I think it's. I mean, it's. Is it on overdrive? I don't think so. I think it's really what it really just is a normal product of that identity. It's a very strong identity for sure.
Okay. As an uninformed party, and you seem to be the most informed party on Jewish, Israeli, Middle East matters, what is Zionism essentially?
Oh, Zionism is just the belief that Jews deserve a state, and specifically a hegemony compared to the other Abrahamic religions. Right? The Muslims have the Arab world, the Christians have the West. What do they have? That's really what it is, and it's a sense of Jewish supremacy and Jewish identity, nationalism.
But that doesn't sound bad.
Well, it comes down to the supremacy aspect that some people can find disagreeable. Arabs and some Westerners have found that it leads to meddling or abuse. For example, in Palestine.
The ruling over.
Yep.
And this is Zionism. So when somebody says Zionism is Judaism on overdrive, he's actually claiming, would be in theory, would be actually claiming that there is a supremacist aspect of the Jewish identity over other Abrahamic religions.
I mean, and the other two feel the same way about theirs, right? Muslims think they're Allah is the only truth and Muhammad is his only message, his last messenger, and of course Jesus is king. So it's not something they share solely. It's just it's fared out. in recent history differently amongst the three.
However, the two main aspects of Christianity is universalism and tolerance.
No,
So, although
I disagree. No, that's not true.
okay, if you
Tolerance is
wish
not a
to,
Christian virtue. That's a misnomer. That is a product of the modern age. Tolerance.
okay,
Yeah, no. People need to, and I'm not angry or anything, Mar, but people really do need to stop saying that because it's
okay,
blatantly not true. What is tolerance? Tolerance is putting up with something you disagree with, but just meanderly. Yeah, Mar, if I say I tolerate you, does it really mean I like you?
no, but I
No,
can
but I
live in
put
peace
up
with
with
it.
you, right?
Yeah,
Is that God's position? In the Christian Bible, does God tolerate things he finds disgusting?
no, no.
No.
He I believe he told us to smite them. The word he used was smite on them with
Right.
furious anger,
So when Jesus when
furious
Jesus
vengeance, furious vengeance. Sorry, was
yeah,
that was
yeah,
the word?
well, vengeance is his. But when Jesus, even in the New Testament, was Jesus tolerant of the Pharisees?
No,
No,
no.
not at all. What did he do when they were selling things in the temple? They were using the temple as a
Grabbed the whip
marketplace,
and
and
started
he started
turning
flipping
tables,
tables. Yep,
and he became violent and virulent.
right. So tolerance is not a virtue, nor is it an aspect of God's nature.
Would you
So
say that eventually modernity have emasculated Christian moral, the collective Christian moral?
it has emasculated Christians. I don't think it's done much to the actual faith itself. Because outside of the West, if you go to like Eastern Europe, you can ask Josh about this, or the Orthodox. If I walked in an Orthodox church and said what I just said right now, nobody would blink an eye. So
Josh,
it's a matter. It's a Western. It's the individual Christians themselves rather than the faith, because the faith is still strong and in a lot of the countries.
right? Well, actually, the Russians have this the Orthodox, the the Orthodox Christianity, which after 80 years of communism was not trampled, was not extinguished, much
Well,
to the
even
effort because
there's Orthodox churches in Ethiopia, which is increasingly Muslim country, Assyria, which is in Iran, which is a majority Muslim country, Syria and Egypt have the Coptic Christians. So there's actually Orthodox places all over the world that are still faithful.
Yeah, I mean
okay,
they've been living together for generations
Yeah.
in the Middle East and Caucasus. We have one of the oldest mosques in the Caucasus in Georgia. Been there
well,
since a long time.
yes, I mean we are in Argentina. We happen to follow through. I mean, we like to think as Argentines as Western Europeans from ultramar, from how do you call it? From beyond the sea. Western Europeans from beyond the sea. That would be it. Spanish, Italians, English, French, Germans, Swedish, and eventually Austrians. Those pretty much is the mixture. So we do. So we would be part of those emasculated. There isn't so much as a well. Actually, there is no religious strife in here because although we do have 2 million Muslims, these Muslims are not Sharia practitioners. So they are secular.
Well, they're not Muslims.
Oh.
But we don't have any trouble. I mean, it's not that we have. I mean, although we did have two bombings. One of the bombings of the Israeli embassy in 1991 fell into because it was in the embassy. It fell into Israeli jurisdiction. So the Argentines had nothing to do with it. And the second one in 1994 was a bombing that had to do with apparently it was apparently I'm saying that apparently it was a self-induced bombing in order to cover up for a lot of embezzlements that many Jewish individuals did on Jewish banks and on Jewish institutions. And that was to be blamed onto Muslims. Of course, there was that is the unofficial. The official narrative was that eventually was a bomb that was carried by Syrian nationals with Argentine passport under the masterminds of Iranian nationals with Argentine passports in order to get revenge on the Argentinian participation of the first Iraq war. That was the official narrative. Of course, this official narrative was completely bogus. I mean, it couldn't hold. It couldn't hold water. But there was many other theories and conspiracy that gave much more credibility of an inside job in the Jewish community. So that's what happened in Argentina. How are we doing on time?
We're good, man. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I believe so. It's I believe we're just 15 minutes on over. It's been a great show. We covered a lot of topics, and now we are in our closing statements. Professor Redfield, Josh, if you wish to start.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, the economy, it's we're starting to see the first stages of meltdown. A lot of influencers I follow and a lot of the information that I've written on it's coming quick. Like I said, I'm seeing a lot of houses going up for sale. A lot of that's one of the key aspects of a housing collapse is that you have a lot of inventory and no buyers currently. Go ahead.
Any advice for our young Zoomer listeners?
Zoomers can't afford homes anyway, so it doesn't matter. To be honest,
and they can't afford boxes either.
No, they actually will benefit more they will benefit more from a collapse than any other generation.
I saw this meme that there were these two images. First one, there was this face of wrinkled and face that says, "I lost my house, my home, my state, my job, my family in the 1929 collapse." And there's this face of the blondish one with a mustache that says, "I had nothing to begin with, so I lost nothing."
That's the reality. The Zoomers are only going to gain because it's going to mean when there's a depression and collapse, like I'm predicting, property values are going to drop by 70%, commercial real estate by 70%. The stock market will crash, which doesn't really matter. Zoomers don't really buy it anyway. They buy mostly crypto. So, I mean, the thing is, yeah.
If you say, please.
No, I'm just letting Josh talk. I'm just being funny.
No, it's all good. I mean, the thing is, like I said, the Zoomers, all they got to do is just wait. As I said, they'll inherit a lot of property, but this has been said by a lot of different people that I've been, following on influencers on YouTube and different social media and experts in the field. It's the millennials and the Zoomers. Some millennials are still young enough, like I said, that they can recover. And I think the next economy that will come as a result of this will be related to AI and other types of technologies that the Zoomers and the millennials have a very strong grasp on. So you're going to see a Soviet-style collapse where basically the boomers and the X-gens will basically have nothing. And whatever, if they didn't invest in gold or silver or crypto or any type of safe havens, sorry, they're probably going to lose their home, their job, and anything they own. So they're going to have to learn how to live a minimalist lifestyle, which they don't know how to. So sorry.
Remember, boys, be true and you will never go hungry. Get a trade, get an art, man. Just remember, this is the moment in which you have to learn shit and learn
just basic stuff. Just basic stuff. Like learn how to learn how to do basic plumbing, learn some basic electrical. I mean, stuff that you don't have to pay someone to come out and do it because there's not going to be many people that are going to be making money doing services. I mean, I've been in third world countries, in the post-Soviet countries that are recovering, and they just don't have the personnel or the people to do the work. And those that are available are very expensive, and a lot of people can't afford them. And that's what we're seeing now in the West.
I heard that some plumbers in some places in the United States are charging $80 an hour.
Some are up to $200 an hour. Some charge you just to come out, just to bid you the contract. So they charge you a fee just to come out, $150, just to even look at it and tell you what their price is going to be, if they're available.
Go figure, gentlemen. I mean, this is the things, dear audience who is listening to us. There is huge opportunities for you now that you're listening to us, but you got to take them. You got to do the walk. You got to walk the walk. Punish anything else, Professor Red Pill?
Oh, I'm good, man. You go to Mr. Gallicanokes. No, I'm just kidding. You go to Pisano. That's good.
Punish Lusano. Any closing remarks for today's show?
No, I got nothing else. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Go to church on Sunday. Don't skip out on church.
Remember, read healthy literature. Avoid porn. Do not squeeze the snake.
Well, reasonably, just everything in moderation.
Exactly. Just find yourself a purpose. Like and subscribe. Remember, help us grow, so we can just give you a better background, better connectivity. Those things. And from now on, God willing, we'll be seeing you next Friday on Straight Talk, where we dot the I's and cross the T's. Now, good night, good luck, all the best. Thank you so much.